Mallory Safaste with WMAR 2 News. Small businesses looking to rebound from the impact of the coronavirus are seeking loans from the federal government. We know thousands of you didn't receive any money from the first round of funding, but more relief is on the way. And to help you with the application process when it opens, we sat down with a CPA with an accounting and consulting firm to get his take on what's working, what isn't when putting in for these loans.
Of your clients, how many received funding in the first round, would you say?
I would say about 75% of our clients received funding. Because of the type of clients that we work with, middle market, we were able to advise them. What I think is that a lot of the smaller businesses that don't have CPAs or attorneys or a solid team around them to help advise them, they were a lot of the businesses who were shut out of the initial funding of the PPP loan.
So for the businesses who didn't receive any money, may have to apply again for this next round of funding, what's your best advice to them? What worked, what didn't?
Sure. So the first thing to keep in mind is that you need to be aggressive. Nobody is going to give you these funds. So if you already applied on the first round and did not get the funds, reach out to your contacts at the bank or reach out to a new bank. You can apply to multiple banks. Reach out, be aggressive. You want to send over your calculation for what your loan, what you think the loan should be. It's basically 2.5 times of your monthly payroll cost. So you want to send that over so that they can review it before the application opens up. You don't want to wait until the day that you can apply to get everything together. You really want to be ready to go so that the first day that you can apply, which we're still waiting to hear when that day will be, you're sending everything over. You've already reached out to your contact at your bank, and they have everything ready for you.
What's your advice on choosing a bank, larger versus smaller?
Sure. So it really depends on the size of your company. In the first round of fundings, what we saw was a lot of the larger banks only funded PPP loans for existing customers that not only did they have to have, this is not all banks, but some of them, not only did they have to have a checking account, but also a loan already with the bank. So if you're a small business, if you're an independent contractor or smaller business, instead of going with a larger bank, you might want to reach out to a credit union or a smaller bank. But again, you want to do that today. Now you want to start to get everything together. You don't want to wait until the first day that you can apply.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the interest rate on these loans is 1%, right?
That's correct.
Does that disincentivize banks from lending to small businesses?
No, the banks are still getting a fee for the amount that they loan out. So they still have incentive. They've also been bombarded with the first funding, and they're getting an allotment of funds. And so I think they're going to have no problem delegating out all of the funds that they have to small businesses.
For the second round of funding, have you heard of any additional protections so that, the much smaller businesses with less than 10 employees will receive more funding than they did in this last round?
So we're still waiting for final approval of the second round, but it looks like it's going to be $310 billion allocated for the second round of the PPP funding. And then of that, 60 million is going to be allocated to small businesses. So they haven't changed the rules around, but they've specifically allocated more to small businesses, specifically independent contractors who were not able to really apply the first time because their application date was a week later than the initial application date for businesses. So they were sort of left out because the funds had dried up.
A lot of the business owners that I've talked to, they received confirmation that their applications were submitted, but then it's kind of gone radio silent. They weren't denied, but they weren't approved and received the money. So for someone in that position, should they continue working that relationship since they weren't denied, or do you also recommend they reach out to a different bank?
I think they should do all of the above. This is really the time to be as aggressive as possible, be persistent. That's the reason why a lot of these businesses have been so successful over the years. And this is no different. So they want to contact their existing relationships. If they weren't happy with the feedback or the communication that they received, they can go to the SBA website, find other banks in the area. They can talk to other business owners, find out who they've applied with. But this is certainly not the time to wait for somebody to reach out to you and you're going to receive the funds. It's going to be very competitive for this second round. We saw the first round go very quickly. We expect the same with the second round. And so small business owners really need to be persistent and continue to reach out. They should reach out before they can apply. They should reach out while they apply. And if they have already applied for the first round and did not get approved or they're still waiting to hear back, they should find out what happened. There was a lot of confusion on how you calculate the loan a few weeks ago for the first round. And so they should make sure that the application that they're submitting meets the bank's criteria for how to calculate the loan, and that they have all the supporting information that they need. Because what we don't want to see is a business apply, find out that they had miscalculated the way that the loan should be, and then they got pushed back to the back of the line because they had to redo their loan amount. So they really want to make sure that when they can submit for the second round of funding, that they have all of their documents together, they're ready to go, they've already established a relationship, and they're just either hitting the send button or applying on the portal.
The last business owner I just talked to, it's her and one part-time employee. She put in for the PPP, but said that there wasn't somewhere for her to put in her salary as a sole proprietor. Do you think she should have applied for a different program, or are you aware of that happening?
So there's different calculations for independent contractors. It's essentially what it is based off of your Schedule C earnings, and that is up to 100,000. And so that is the way that it's calculated. The language in the way that this was drafted was very confusing. And for independent contractors, not only did they have to apply a week later, but also in terms of how they calculate the cost, because they're not salaried employees. They don't pay themselves a salary. There was some confusion. But for an independent contractor, like this woman that you just described, she should be basing it off of her Schedule C earnings.
Okay. And then finally, what do you say to the business owners who see, companies like Ruth's Chris receive $20 million and Shake Shack $10 million, who are discouraged by the process or don't feel that it's fair?
Well, they have to worry about their business, themselves, and their employees. We've seen some of the larger companies give back the money. Unfortunately, there was no guidance for preventing those companies from applying, and some of them did apply, and they received large funds. But the reason why a lot of these businesses have been around for so many years is because they have unbelievable business owners, and they have built these phenomenal businesses. And in order to keep them going right now in this very challenging time, they need to do what's best for their company, and they can't worry about what other people are doing. They need to focus on their business and their employees. I think it's not just about, a lot of times when businesses think of CPAs, they think of tax returns or financial statements. And really what our firm, Rosa Saperstein Freelander, has been focusing on over the past month is helping to guide our business, guide businesses in order to get through this. And we feel that once they're able to get past this, whenever we can all get back to work, that they're going to be stronger for it. So right now, we're not working on it's really about advising and helping businesses manage through this crisis and then be stronger on the other side. And I think for businesses that were well run and we're doing the right thing and we're successful businesses before this, they're going to get through this. It's going to be a challenge. There's no doubt about that. But they're going to thrive on the other side of this. And that's what we're really excited for.